Hi guys, Guide TV here, bringing you a new Excel tutorial. So in this tutorial I'll talk about the 10 most commonly used Excel functions that you can use in order to handle complex spreadsheets. Now, as everyone knows, if you're working in a company or you're dealing with a large spreadsheet, it always helps if you know a few tricks in Excel. That will make your life a lot more easier. So if you look at the right side of the Excel sheet, I have defined 10 functions that are most commonly used. And now they include the simplest function like the sum function to the most complex ones like Vlookup, data validation, and of course concatenate and conditional formatting. So these functions, if you can get a command in them, that will greatly help you in future if you are working in a company that is dealing with data on a daily basis. That will make your life a lot more easier. I most commonly use the VLOOKUP, data validation, conditional formatting, and the if statement during my work. So let's start with the tutorial. First of all, I'll discuss the VLOOKUP function. Let's see the spreadsheet I have defined first of all. Now I have a spreadsheet in which you can see I have listed down products from CDs, LED TVs up till toys, and the next column shows the target sales that were set for these products, and the actual sales that were achieved at the end of the year are listed in the other column, column E, which says actual sales. And after that we have another column which says remarks, and it basically we will enter whether or not we had achieved the targets, annual targets or not. So we'll enter those later on by using the if statement. So first of all, I'll tell you guys how to use the VLOOKUP function. So let's start with that. So let's say I want to put in the product name and I want to know how many sales had occurred in the last year for the said product. So to do that, I'll use the VLOOKUP function. I'll first of all type in the function. So to do that, you first of all need to put in the equal to sign, then you'll type in VLOOKUP, open the parenthesis. Now as you can see, it is asking for the lookup value. So the lookup value is basically the value that you will enter in order to get the desired result. So we will define that value in one of the cells below. Let's say our lookup value is K28. So this is our lookup value, and the next thing he wants is the table array. So the table array is basically all the data that you will be using for the lookup function. So in our case, we need the products and the target sales, also the actual sales. So we'll use these three columns. All right. So we'll put in a comma again. Now next it wants to know what is the column index number. Now we have defined our data from product up till actual sales. So the column number is basically from where you need to get the result, end result, desired result. So which column you're looking for getting the desired result. So in our case we want the actual sales. So that would be column 3. Column 1 would be product, because we have defined these 3 columns. So column 1 would be product, column 2 would be target sales, and column 3 would be actual sales. So in our case we want to know the actual sales of the particular product when we put in the name. So we'll put in 3 here. And after that it wants to know if you want an exact match or an approximate match. So in our case we want to know the exact sales, so we'll put in false over here. and after that you'll close down the parentheses or simply uh, push the enter button. And as you can see, we are getting an error here, not applicable, because we haven't entered a value yet. So let's basically define what we want. So we want to enter the product name, and we want to know its actual sales data. So we'll put in that. Alright, so that's nice and tidy. Let's make it bold. Alright, so let's say I want to know what was the actual sale for the product cat food. So I'll enter the exact name of cat food here. Sorry, I entered car food, my bad. I'll correct that. So as you can see, I entered the product cat food and it told me the actual sale that was incurred last year for cat food. Actual sale is 340, and if we can cross check in our actual spreadsheet number 17, we can see that the actual sale is 340. So that is absolutely correct. Now say I enter toys to check its actual sales. Here we go, it says 3000. So in this manner you can use the Vlookup function to better analyze your data, and it is, believe me, it is a time saver. So that concludes Vlookup. Next I'll tell you guys about the sum function. It's easier, so I'll tell you that. So over here I have defined total. So basically we want the sum for our actual sales. So we'll put in the sum function here and define the column we want to add. That would be up till the last entry, toys, and then simply we'll put in we'll press the enter button. So here we have the actual sales, total actual sales, that is 10,181. So the sum function is basically a pretty simple function that everyone in my view would know about if they are using Excel on a daily basis. But I have defined sum over here because it is usually the most common function that is used if you're dealing with complex data or even basic data. So it is used quite a lot. So that is the main reason why I discussed it. So next we have the average function, and like the sum function, it's again pretty easy. You just need to put in the formula for the average and open the parentheses and define the data you want to calculate the average of. In our case we want the average for the actual sales, and again press the enter button. And here we have 509.05. that is the average of our actual sales. So the next function we have is data validation. Now data validation is a pretty neat function if you want to make a list of items. If you have a huge spreadsheet, you want a list for the items mentioned, like the one we have over here. So I want to make a list of these items and I want to put it in a single cell. So data validation will help me in this case. Alright, so to do data validation, first of all you need to obviously select a cell that you want to put the list in. In my case I have selected this cell. So next you will go into this data tab. Alright, you'll click data validation, select data validation, and once that is done you'll come up with this. So what we want our validation criteria to be, we want a list of items, so we'll select that. And now it wants to know what is the source for your list. So in our case we want a list of the products, so the source would be from C5 up till C24. So that is our source. Then we'll click the OK button, and now as you can see, you have a list over here of all the possible items that were defined in our column for the products. So next we have the merge and center command. Now merge and center is also a pretty basic technique, but I was surprised to know that most of the people don't even know about it. They have a pretty hard time in dealing with multiple cells. So let's say I want to merge these 6 cells over here. So simply I'll select the 6 cells first and go into the home tab. There you'll see merge and center. You'll click that, and now you can see that those six cells have been merged into a single large cell. So let's say that you had a pretty big name, let's say Andy Roberts. So now Roberts is coming in the second cell. Obviously it is not entered in the second cell, but as you can see, it looks pretty bad. So the merge and center tool will help you in merging 2 or more cells according to your requirements. So when I press this button, merge and center, it makes those 2 cells into a single cell. So that is pretty convenient. Alright, so the next command is format painter. Now let's say that we want a similar format to the one I have defined over here. Over here you have a dark gray color for the cell, and also the font for the text is Calibri. So I want the same format of this cell in the below cells as well. So what I will do is I'll first of all select the cell I want the format of. Alright, so first of all you will click the format painter button. You click the format painter icon, and then you'll click the cell which you want to be formatted. So in my case I want this cell to be formatted, so I'll click that, and now as you can see it has changed its color to the one we wanted. Now if you put in the text, let's say some, it also has the same font as we wanted, Calibri. So that is a pretty convenient tool. So the next command is conditional formatting. So before conditional formatting, I'll tell you about the if statement, how you can use that. So as you can see, I have made a column over here that is saying remarks. Now the remarks are basically whether we have achieved our target sales or not. So we'll use the if command in order to type in whether our year was a success or a failure regarding the particular product. So let's enter the if statement first of all. So it wants the logical test to be entered. So that is basically the criteria that you are defining. So in our case we want that if E5, which is the actual sales, if the actual sales is less than the target sales, then that means that last year was a failure. Otherwise it was a success. Alright, so remember to close the parenthesis and then you'll hit the enter button. Now as you can see, it has formatted all the remaining entries as well. Alright, so that is how you use the if statement. Number 7 on our list is conditional formatting. Now we have now entered the remarks for the products, whether they failed last year or they passed. So now what we want is we want to highlight the failure and success text in red and green respectively, so that we are better able to visualize our data. So to do that, we'll use the conditional formatting tool, which is also a very convenient tool. It helps to manage your data more efficiently. So let's use the conditional formatting tool. You'll first of all go into the design tab, the home tab, and as you can see below, there is this conditional formatting icon. You'll press that, and right down you'll see new rule. You'll click that, and now it gives you a lot of options. We have to first of all select a rule type. So in our case, we'll select number 2, which is format only cells that contain. So we first of all want to format those cells which contain the word failure. So we'll also edit the rule description from cell value to specific text, and the text that we want formatted is failure. Alright, now you'll press this format button, and it now wants to know what kind of color you want to fill in those cells. So in our case, if it's a failure, then we want the red color to be displayed. So we'll click that, and now we'll save all the changes, hit the OK button, and here we have failure. It has replicated our formatting to other cells that contain the word failure. So similarly, we'll repeat the same process for success. Go into new rule, format only cells that contain the specific text success, and hit the format button, and now we want those cells to be displayed in green. Hit the OK button, and now as you can see, it has formatted all the cells that contain success and turned them into green color. So now our data is pretty revealing. We can easily see which product has performed badly and which has performed above expectation. Now next we have the sort tool. Now as you can see, the products I have mentioned in column 2, they are not in an alphabetical order. So to do that, we can use the sort command. First of all, to use the sort command, you'll go into data tab, and as you can see over here, we have sorting options from A to Z and from Z to A. So we want the sorting options from lowest to highest, so in alphabetical order. So we'll hit that button, and as you can see, our data is nice and sorted now. You can also see that our serial numbers have been disturbed, but it doesn't matter, we can change them. Drag it down, and it will replicate that trend for the rest of the entries. Alright, so our last command is concatenate. So to use this command, I have here the data for the first and last names of these individuals. So what I want is, I want to display their full names in the third column. To do that, I'll use the concatenate tool. It will basically merge these two words, the first name and the last name, into a single entry. So to do that, we'll first put in the actual function concatenate, open the parentheses, and now it wants which text you want to merge. So we want the first name comma the second name to be combined. Close the parenthesis. Now, as you can see, it has merged the two names, but there is no space in between the first and the last name. So we don't want that. We want spaces in between the first and last name. So to do that, we'll make a slight change into our formula. After the first text, we'll type in a parenthesis and hit the space button, put a comma, and the rest will remain the same. And now it has put a space in between those two words. We'll replicate it for the other entries, and now we have full names for all these individuals listed in a single column. So that is how you use the concatenate command. So guys, that concludes our tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and feel free to comment. I'm open to any suggestions. If you are having a request regarding Excel or any other software, please let me know in the comments below.